Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah, UAE, welcoming all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. I thank all of you for attending this session and please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy name which are to be avoided written by Sri Vyasadeva in the Padma Purana. Number 1, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of supreme gods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the chanting of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as 52 activities, Karma Kanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, to not have complete faith on the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, that is Krishna Prema. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I once again welcome all of you to this Mukti Sangha Japa conference call. So today we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. But before moving on to the session, I would like to know who are all present on the call today. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण अनिता माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीति दासी फ्रॉम शार्लोट हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving us your beautiful, wonderful, sweet association every day. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devi Dasi from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Priya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for giving us your valuable time and association. And thank you for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Leela Devi Dasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjari Leela Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Ramya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Nice to see you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. I was expecting even Bala Vrinda along with you.
Yes, Mataji, she's supposed to wake up. She did not wake up. I have to wake up her.
Okay, because usually she also comes, right? So before.
Yeah, she chants in the morning. Yeah, I have to wake her up. Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all the devotees. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Ramya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sundarangi Radha Devi Dasi from India. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sundarangi Radha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for all your services and thank you so much for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. So today we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. But before moving on to the session, I would like to read the introduction of Sundarangi Mataji. You're reading the introduction, right?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji. Sorry.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. So today we will be moving on to the next section, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. But Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call and giving us your valuable time and association. And so today's topic is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, chapter 3, and verse 26. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible to everybody?
Yes, Prabhu. Clear.
Okay. It says my internet connection is unstable because another meeting is going on at the same time. But
Okay.
please let me know if that happens and I will join with my...
Okay.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana
Hare Krishna. Yes, God frozen.
Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। Today I'm actually at a different venue than usual. Normally I'm in my home office, but today we are actually I'm going to show you darshan of the deities of the home of Sri Nivai Sundar Prabhu and Mother Brajamanjari in Pickering, Ontario. So I'm going to turn the camera around so you can take darshan of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Devi, their Gopal, and their Radha Krishna, a wonderful altar right here. I'm in their temple room. Okay. So
Prabhu, just
today,
take a screenshot.
what's that?
Can you just hold? Okay, I will take a screenshot.
Okay.
So- okay, done. Thank you.
Okay. So there's an Upanayam Sanskar going on here right now. And it started at about a couple of hours ago, 5:30 in the morning. And I'm attending that, but they have graciously made this arrangement for me to be able to give this class. So we'll get into this. 8, beautiful chapter 8, chapter 2 of Canto 8, verse number 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Okay, so I'll recite the verse. Soham Vishvasrijam Vishvam. Wait, hold on, I need to make this bigger. Soham Vishvasajam Vishvam Avishvam Vishvavedasam Vishvatmanam Ajam Brahma Pranatosmi Param Padam. Soham Vishvasajam Vishvam Avishvam Vishvavedasam Vishvatmanam Ajam Brahma Pranatosmi Param Padam. Soham Vishvasajam Vishvam Avishvam Vishvavedasam Vishvatmanam Ajam Brahma Pranatosmi Param Padam. The word by word translation, the synonyms: Saha, that; Aham, I, the person desiring release from material life; Vishwasrijam, unto him who has created this cosmic manifestation; Vishwam, who is himself the whole cosmic presentation; Avishwam, although is transcendental to the cosmic manifestation; Vishvavedasam, who is the knower or ingredient of this universal manifestation; Vishva Atmanam, the soul of the universe; Ajam, who is never born, eternally existing; Brahma, the supreme; Pranatah Asmi, I offer my respectful obeisances; Param, who is transcendental; Padam, the shelter. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Now, fully desiring release from material life, I offer my respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Person, who is the creator of the universe, who is himself the form of the universe, and who is nonetheless transcendental to this cosmic manifestation. He is the supreme knower of everything in this world, the super soul of the universe. He is the unborn, supremely situated Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. I will read this once more, the translation. Now, fully desiring release from material life, I offer my respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Person who is the creator of the universe, who is himself the form of the universe and who is nonetheless transcendental to this cosmic manifestation. He is a supreme knower of everything in this world, the super soul of the universe, is the unborn, supremely situated Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sometimes when Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, is preached to the common man, people argue, where is Krishna? Where is God? Can you show him to us? In this verse, the answer is given that if we are sufficiently intelligent, we must know that there is someone who has created the entire cosmic manifestation, who has supplied and has become the ingredients for this cosmic manifestation, who is eternally existing, but who is not within the cosmic manifestation. Simply on the basis of this suggestion, one can offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. This is the beginning of devotional life. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagar Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रियवांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. सोहम विश्व सृजम. So these, a quick context of these prayers. You have all been listening to these classes from these beautiful prayers from the section of the Srimad Bhagavatam known as the Gajendra Mokshanam. So we have what has happened here is that Gajendra, the elephant, has been enjoying in the heavenly realm, and he is in the water with his family members, and he has been splashing around and disturbing the peace of that water. And there was a crocodile living in that water, and this crocodile has grabbed a hold of Gajendra's leg. And Gajendra is very, very strong. He's the king of the heavenly elephants. He's extremely strong, but he cannot shake himself from the grip of the crocodile, and he cannot come out of the water, because if he comes out of the water, he will be stronger. In the water, he is weaker, because the crocodile is the animal of the water, whereas the elephant is the animal of the land. So for 1,000 years, they've been struggling for life. The crocodile is struggling for his life because he wants to get the nourishment from eating the flesh of this elephant. And Gajendra is struggling for his own life because he is wanting to get out of the water and continue his life overall. Every living entity wants to be alive and well, healthy, and so on and so forth. Self-protection is a fundamental human need. So, or actually, every living entity, not just human need, but fundamental need of every living entity. So, after 1,000 years of struggling, none of Gajendra's commanders, friends, family members, wives, children, nobody can help him. He's alone. Just like all of us, when we are facing death, we go alone, not with the whole mela that we have accumulated in our lifetimes. So Gajendra has been fortunately a king. There are two Indradumnas mentioned in the scripture. One is in the Brahma Purana. That is the Indradumna associated with the pastime of Lord Jagannath. We won't get into the pastime right now, but everybody knows the story mostly. Anybody who has heard or been to any Rath Yatra has heard the story of King Indradumna. So that is a different Indradumna compared to this is Pandya. He's a South Indian king, and he is a descendant of Swayambhuva Manu. And this is a different Indradumna. And he was, one day after giving up his kingdom, he was sitting in meditation, and Agastya Rishi came by, and he was passing by, and Indradumna was so deep in meditation that he did not offer him respects as you're supposed to a superior, to a spiritual master, to a brahmana, etc. So Agastya Rishi cursed him that you are unconscious like an animal, may you be an animal like that. So he became an elephant. So, but the fortunate thing is that Agastya Rishi is a very great soul, and his curse is also a blessing. So because of that, because of the curse of Agastya, he has now become into this situation where he is remembering the Lord so intensely. So he had memorized some prayers in his lifetime as Indradyumna. So these prayers have come back into Gajendra's mind. And the prayers are very well organized. If you look at all the different verses, we are currently on chapter 2, verse 26. But if you look at the previous 25 and the next few prayers before the end of this chapter, you'll see that the prayers are organized in a way that actually links to improving and developing consciousness of the living entity who is advancing spiritually. So the prayers are amazing. And so here, when you look at this particular prayer of this verse, if you can put up that verse so that everybody can read it also with me, the verse, today's verse number 26, if you can get that up. I want us to observe that verse a little bit, and then I will chant one more verse that we pray regularly, especially as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So if you can get 8.3.26 on the screen, please. I have the Bhagavatam here also. I will read from there. Okay, 8.3.26. Okay. So here this verse goes like this. Soham Vishwashasham Vishwam Avishwam Vishwavedasam Vishwatmanam Ajam Brahma Pranatosmi Param Padam. So he's saying he's offering respectful obeisances unto that transcendental. So this verse is actually related to one of the first verses. So if you see in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we have three main things. We have Sambandha, we have Abhideya, and we have Prayojana. So there are specific deities. For example, Sri Radha Madan Mohan is known as the Sambandhadi Deva. Sri Radha Govinda is known as Abhideya Deva, and Sri Radha Gopinath, for me here in Toronto, it's Radha Kirchur Gopinath, but Radha Gopinath is known as the Prayojanadi Deva. So we chant this mantra, Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Mandamatir Gati Mat Sarvaswapadam Bhojau Sri Radha Madana Mohano. So this verse number 26, is actually analogous to that verse which we chant in the prayer of Sri Radha Madan Mohan. So we are looking to connect ourselves to the Supreme Lord by understanding that the Supreme Lord is beyond this material manifestation, is transcendental. So Radha Madan, it's very deep, the Sambandhadi Deva, so I won't get into all the esoterics of that particular one, but that is a very important thing for us to know, that this is actually the Sambandha mantra. After this, the next verses are going to describe Abhideya and Prayojana in this very prayer, in the next verses that you're going to experience in the next few classes. Okay, so that is an important thing to understand, that this is the Sambandha verse. Now, we talked about where Gajendra came from, how he has landed up into that particular situation. But we should understand that you see that Gajendra is experiencing some realization. He's not just chanting these prayers, he's actually experiencing some kind of realization. And that realization has come through the previous verses that he has chanted. So if you look at all the previous verses, and all the 20 plus verses where Gajendra is making these prayers, he has realized the futility of material life. He has finally, so in the previous verse, for example, if you look at the verse number 25, 8.3.25, if you look at the previous verse, for example, you will see that he has made a desire that he does not want to remain in material life. So if you look at verse number 25, the translation of the verse number 25, Jijvishe Naham, that verse, I do not wish to live anymore after I am released from this attack of the crocodile. What is the use of an elephant's body covered externally and internally by ignorance? I simply desire eternal liberation from the covering of ignorance. That covering is not destroyed by the influence of time. That means you can live in the material world for all of eternity, and the covering of uh, ignorance is not going to be destroyed. When we come to that stage of Vairagya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is being described by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as Vairagya Vidya Nijabhakti Yogam. So if you look at that verse, Vairagya Vidya Nijabhakti Yogam. So after Vairagya comes the start of Bhakti Yoga. So Sambandha with the Lord, with the Supreme Lord, can come only after we have attained Vairagya, disgust from the material world. Unless we have some kind of hope, Srila Prabhupada says, we have even a tiny bit of hope that sometimes some things are good in the material world, then at that point in time, we cannot actually pursue devotional service properly. So Vairagya is the first thing. And by making his prayers, different prayers that Gajendra has made, he has attained to the point of Vairagya in the previous verse. And the next verse is Bhakti Yogam. He's starting Bhakti Yoga. And Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport also, that in the purport of 26, that Bhakti Yoga, when we say Bhakti Yoga, people say, where is Krishna? Show me Krishna, etc., etc. Now, when we make prayers like this, when we pray the prayers of Gajendra, or when we pray the prayers of our acharyas, when we make the prayers that have been chanted by our spiritual masters, then we are blessed by the Supreme Lord. So if you look at the famous 4 Chatushloki of the Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 verses, out of which the verse 10 from the 10th chapter is very significant. Right? So there's a verse that goes, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Now, they are devoted to serving me with love. They may not even be serving at the present moment. Just like Gajendra hasn't seen the Supreme Lord yet. The Supreme Lord has not arrived. He has not offered his lotus yet. He has been making these prayers. He is devoted to serving the Lord with love. So Lord is giving the understanding by which they can come to me. The understanding of Bhakti Yoga is coming in Gajendra's heart. So another verse, who gets this kind of position? So Gajendra, as a king, King Indradumna, has acquired both a mix of positive and negative karmic reactions. He has acquired both karma and vikarma, correct? So this karma and vikarma has to be burned off in order for us to approach Krishna. Because as Kunti Devi says, right, he's the property of the materially impoverished. In Queen Kunti's prayers, in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we read that, that Krishna is the property of the materially impoverished. So what is this materially impoverished? That means that both the karma and the vikarma have to be burned off. Yesham tu antagatam papam. This is from the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 28. Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridavataha. See, that dvandva, that understanding that something is good and something is bad in the material world, Gajendra has already passed over that in this particular thing. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated. 1,000 years he has been suffering in the mouth of the crocodile. 1,000 celestial years, by the way, and are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Dridavata. Gajendra has said, what is the use of this elephant body? What is the use even though I am in the heavenly kingdom? People might not realize that, but no matter how enjoyable, kshine punya martya lokam vichanti, no matter how enjoyable the heavenly realm is, ultimately one has to leave it. Ultimately one has to die. Right? So that release from material life is possible at Krishna's grace, and Krishna's grace is bestowed upon someone who has attained the position of Vairagya from the material world, and that Vairagya comes from constant prayer. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam. So Bhakti Vidya is actually Vairagya Vidya. Nija Bhakti Yogam. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, if we go back to the purport of the verse number 26 of today, if I go back to that purport, he says, so this is a common thing. We present Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, and a common man. The people argue with us. Where is Krishna? Where is God? Can you show him to us? Srila Prabhupada says, and I'm going to repeat his accent. He says, rascal. He says, do you have the eyes to see God? If I were to show you God, I can show you God everywhere, but do you have the eyes to see? This is a problem. But then somebody might argue, well, this is a catch-22. I don't have the eyes to see God, therefore I cannot see God. And therefore, you cannot preach Bhakti Yoga to me, or you cannot share Krishna consciousness with me. But Srila Prabhupada is saying that we have to use our intelligence to know that there is something beyond what we can see, always. Like, for example, nobody can see each other's mind. We cannot see each other's mind, but we know that everybody has a mind, right? Everybody has a particular thing, that we cannot see. We cannot see somebody's anger, but we can feel it. We can see the symptoms of their anger, but we cannot see what that anger actually is, right? We cannot see that. We cannot see someone's desires, but we can experience that they have these desires by the way they behave in the material world, correct? So in this particular case, Srila Prabhupada is saying, if we are sufficiently intelligent, we must know that there is someone who has created the entire material manifestation. So entire cosmic manifestation, and who has supplied and become the ingredients. So it's actually Brahmana Hutam. In that verse in the 8th chapter, Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Karma Samadhina, in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. That verse is there. In that verse, you can see, we don't need to go to that verse. I just wanted to mention that very quickly. So in that verse, it is given that everything is Brahman, everything is Krishna. Sarvam idam Kalu idam Brahma. So everything is Kalvidam Brahma. So we say that. But who is that? That is Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. This is the first verse of the 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita, which is the only chapter we have available, by the way. So for those who cannot understand Krishna, for them the universal form is there. So for example, in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole chapter 23, the Shishumar planetary system, the whole planetary arrangement, the universal arrangement has been described. So that is also for people to understand. We can see it in the sky. You can see the head and the tail of the universal form. You can see the universal form of the Lord for those who are materialistic in nature. Because Krishna says, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasya Dhananjaya, in the 7th chapter, he says that there is nothing apart from me, nothing other than me. So if you look at 7:7, we can look at that actually. We can look at the translation of that verse. 7:7, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasya Dhananjaya. He's saying, no, 7:7. That one. Yes, thank you. Please, if you go to the translation, you will see that there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung upon a sutre maniganaiva, as pearls are strung on a thread. So Krishna is that which is not in the world, but that which is supporting the world, the entire world, right? So this, if you look at this, you have to understand this by intelligence. Now, I will tell you, we are not supposed to tell about ourselves, but I will tell, this is instructive for this particular class as to my particular spiritual journey. I call myself a recovering atheist, right? I started my adult life as an atheist after studying engineering and doing all my so-called advanced studies. I had become an atheist. Even though I had come from a very pious family, I had become very sinful and become an atheist, practically speaking. Atheist is sinful, even if they don't have sinful habits. An atheist is fundamentally a sinful person, right? So if you look at that, I progressed. It's not like I came from atheist to Bhakti Yoga all of a sudden. First from atheism, right? I was thinking about it and I was thinking about it and thinking about it. I realized that, hey, there has to be something that is a source of this universe. So that was the source of my belief in agnosticism. Agnosticism means they know that there is something beyond this world. They're agnostic, but they don't know that who this person, what or who this person is. So they are agnostic. They are known as agnostic. After agnosticism came impersonalism. Yes, there is some force behind this universe. Some kind of force that has created all this universe. Many scientists also believe that there's some kind of force. For example, different kinds of theory, the Big Bang theory, the steady state theory. There's so many theories of creation of the universe, but they all believe in some kind of force. So after that force, my Guru Maharaj gives an example that Srila Prabhupada gives, is that he says, by the way, it's an ecstatic day for me because in less than In less than 8 hours from now, my Gurudev and Guru Mata will be landing in Toronto. So they are on the way now. They're in transit. So I'm just very eager to see them, receive them, and receive their association. So when I was praying the prayers today, it was extra special because I'm like, okay, I'm going to see them soon. So, anyways, so this impersonalism is like, okay, there is a gold mine, and from that gold mine, a lot of gold has come out. But impersonalism is like, but actually, even though so much gold has come out of the gold mine, there is actually no gold in the gold mine. That is the example. So, in other words, even though all of us have personality, even the ant and the dogs and the cats have personality, like different trees behave differently, even if they are of the same species, they have different personalities, but we ascribe that to the source of the universe there is cannot be any personality, so that is a silly thing. So from that point I came to personalism, and then you start the search of who is God. you know is Lord Brahma God, Lord Shiva God? Who is God? What is this? What is Allah? What is Jehovah? I have read so many different scriptures from different traditions trying to find out about this. Finally, after a long journey, I landed up in the process of bhakti, where I can chant that verse, Jayatam Surato Pangur Mama Mandamatirgati, etc. Right? So everybody in their spiritual life, in their, I would say, in the human life, the human of human, right? Athato Brahma Jidnyasa, they come to have like a Gajendra moment, right? Just like Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra had the Arjuna moment, right? So similarly, um, if you have that kind of moment, and if you have some degree of piety or some degree of mercy upon you by somebody who is superior to ourselves, then we come to the point of Chaturvidha Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritino Arjuna Arto Jidnyasur Artharthi Jnanicha Bhartarshava. This is from the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also, verse number 16. So thank you very much, Mother, for keeping all these verses ready quickly. So if you look at the translation of this verse, Chaturvidha Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritino Arjuna Arto Jidnyasur Artharthi Jnanicha Bhartarshava. So in this verse, you can see, if you look at the translation, you'll see that there are 4 kinds of pious people who surrender and who render devotional service to Krishna. That is a distressed person, the person who is in need of wealth, the inquisitive person, and one who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. So in this case, Gajendra is definitely distressed. He's definitely in great pain. The crocodile is drinking his blood. He has his teeth inside his leg, and he cannot escape this terrible situation. So Gajendra is very pious, example of a very pious person who is in distress. So unlike the miscreants who are adherents of the regulative principles of scriptures, and they are called Sukritinaha, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scripture, the moral and social laws, and more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are 4 classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, those sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees. So at the moment, Gajendra is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So everybody, Sanatana Goswami says, everybody mentioned in the Bhagavatam is a personal associate of the Lord. And you see that Gajendra is so special that after making these prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself comes. In the chapter 12, I don't think I gave this verse to Mother Nita Gandharvika, but it's just coming to my mind right now. That in chapter 12, there's a verse that says, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavamina chirat. I think it's verse number 6, I think, but I'm not sure 100%. Tesham aham samudharta, no. Here, 7, verse number 7. Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavamina chirat partham maya veshita chetasam. If you look at the second part of this translation, for them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Who is that them? Those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, Ananya Bhakti, engage in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pratha. For them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So Gajendra has tried to fight. Gajendra has tried to escape. He has tried to get help from his family members and his friends. And finally, he has landed up with a point where he has fixed his mind on the Supreme Lord. Because he is in a elephant consciousness, he is not yet mentioning the word Vasudeva. But regardless, even because the feeling is there to the Supreme Lord, he did not approach any demigods, right? He did not approach any um, other powerful personalities. He approached only the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in other words, even if somebody is following some other religious tradition, if they are worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one day they will come to the point of Krishna consciousness. And we have such people. We have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Jews, we have so many people who have come to Krishna consciousness, the point of Krishna consciousness, by worshipping the Supreme Lord. You know, in some way, they will come to that understanding that the Supreme Lord that I was worshipping from my scripture is Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead that I was worshipping in my language is actually Krishna. They will come to that point. Okay, so Krishna says again, just to recap what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. He says in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This is verse number 4, 9-4, mother. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat abhyakta murtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavistudha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. In other words, here Krishna is saying that he's outside of the material creation. He's outside of all of us. Huh? He's not perceivable through the gross material senses. That's why you have to use your intelligence and go higher and see that there is something more. This verse that Srila Prabhupada is quoting in the purport, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi, is very, very important. And this is the process of Krishna consciousness is leading us to this verse. Please, if we can read that together. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi, Nabhaved Grahyam Indriyaihi. No, in the same Bhagavad Gita, verse, see this, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi, that one. That's the one that I'm referring to. It's from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi, Na Bhaved Grahyam Indriyahi. Sevon Mukhehi Jibhado Swayameva Suratyadaha. This is important. Lord Krishna's name, fame, pastimes cannot be understood by our material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance, he is revealed. So Premanjana Churita Bhakti Velochana, etc. is there in this verse. So I will conclude with one very inspiring verse for ourselves, which we should take shelter of in this particular case, and which Gajendra has taken shelter of. He has done it. He has done the purport of this verse. So 10, 14, 58, mother. The Samashitaye Pada Pallava Plavan Mahatpadam Punyesho Murare Bhavam Mudhir Vatsapadam Parampadam Padam Padam Yat Vipadam Natesham. So if you look at that, the translation of this, for those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like a water containing a calf's footprint. Their goal is Parampadam, Vaikunta, the place where there is no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. So after this, Gajendra was liberated and went back to the spiritual realm. After this, the Lord personally came. Teshamaham Samuddarta, Vritti Samsara Sagarat, Bhavamina Chirat Partha, Maya Vishita, Bhavamina Chirat Partha. He doesn't waste any time. So as soon as Gajendra reached that point, so he has reached that point in verse number 26 and verse number 33, this chapter ends. And in the next chapter, chapter 4, the Lord himself is coming personally. So we can be in that point when we pray that prayer of Gajendra, or we pray the prayer of our spiritual master. We begin our devotional life. So Gajendra's prayers, anybody who prays these prayers of Lord Sri Gajendra actually lead us into devotional service. So I'll do a quick recap. Okay, so we have covered a few different points here, right? We talked about how this verse 26 is connected to our famous Gaudiya Vaishnava prayer, Jayatam Surato Pangor Mamamanda Matargati Matsaro Sabadam Mojo Shri Radha Madan Mohano. So it's establishing that connection. And we talked about for who that connection is established. The connection is only established for a person who has developed Vairagya. And Vairagya, so if you look at that verse that describes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these verses are amazing. The order is important. Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yogam. That means when you have the Vidya of Vairagya, it leads us into Nija Bhakti Yogam, that is Krishna consciousness, right? And we looked at Indradumna's little bit of history. I'm sure you have covered that in other classes, but I just did that once more. We looked at how in the previous verse, number 25, Gajendra has realized this Vairagya in his heart. Then we looked at the various verses, how Krishna gives the intelligence, how we can come. So Gajendra is in an elephant body. From where these prayers are coming? Prayers are coming because he is memory. Krishna is giving him Matta Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedaischa Sarvairahama Vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. All the Vedic literature will come into the heart of the person who is devoted to Krishna. We don't necessarily have to learn it separately, right? Gajendra was not memorizing the prayers in his elephant life, right? So he remembered it at the right moment, thanks to the mercy of Sri Krishna. So Krishna gave him that from the heart. So release from material life is possible with Krishna's grace to one who is worshipping Krishna. We saw how Krishna is the source of this material world, but outside of this material world. He's not part of this. He's transcendental. Transcendental means one which is beyond. Transcend. To transcend means one which is beyond the material modes of nature. We look at how the Vishwarupa form, whether it is from the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam, described in different ways, is for people who are materialistic, but it helped them to understand the Supreme Personality of God and eventually takes them to the position of transcendence. We look at how the whole world is like pearls strung on that string, and that string is actually invisible. You don't see Krishna. He's hidden from view. Even if he's in plain view, you say light of the sun is Krishna, taste of the water is Krishna, but we don't. It's not easy for a materialistic person to sing because nahi grahyam indriyahi. We cannot see him from the material senses. We looked at the explanation that Srila Prabhupada has given. Show me God. Show me where is God. God is everywhere, but you don't have the eyes to see him. Taste of water is God. You say, no, that is the taste of water. That's not God. Light of the sun and moon is God. No, that's the light of sun and moon. That's not God. So how can I show you something? So you have to purify your senses. And I told you a little bit about my own story about how I came from atheism to agnosticism to impersonalism to various kinds of isms, all the way finally till I landed by the mercy of the devotees at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada's followers. So we talked about the Gajendra moment. We talked of just like we have the Arjuna moment, there's a Gajendra moment, but that moment can be experienced properly and land up into bhakti if we are pious. We have some mercy or we have engaged in some kind of piety, which is why we give everybody prasadam, we make somebody chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We give, even sometimes we don't tell them that they are serving Krishna and we get them to serve Krishna because we want to increase that piety in their heart. So when they are in difficulty, they will turn to God. Okay? So we saw the verses from the Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna is pervading the world and all of us are in him, but he is not necessarily in all the living entities. Right? So we looked at that very encouraging verse, how if we take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, Samashate pada pallava plavam, Mahatpadam punyesho munare. Danger at every step. Gajendra experienced that in the water. We can experience that on the road or in our bathrooms or anywhere, sitting from a chair, getting up from the bed. We can experience these kinds of things. Right? I was reading one news article where one fellow just passed away running up and down the stairs because he was panicking because his son got stuck in an elevator. So you can imagine how dangerous our life is in the material world. Okay, so Gajendra's prayers lead us into devotional service. Anybody who chants these prayers regularly has been given a benediction that they will come into devotional service. Okay, so I will pause here. I will see if there's any reflections, comments, or questions, and then we can see what's next after that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a very wonderful class, and very nicely you quoted all the shlokas for the reference, and it was very helpful to connect with the class which you were mentioning about. And yes, of course, I just in this one point that when common man means like mundane people, they ask, right? So can you show me God? Like whenever we go to Krishna consciousness, they say, oh, okay, every time you're always chanting, you're always doing this, that. So God is everywhere. Where you cannot see God. So this is the statement they do. So when you were saying, I was means about Prabhupada saying that with the mundane eyes, how can you see God? So it's not at all possible. Only when you have that conviction and when you have that means vairagya, you can have other darshan of the Lord. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. So
Thank you very much. Yes. In fact, I will give an example on that particular one since you mentioned it once more. It has been made famous by one, I will say, so-called sannyasi named Swami Vivekananda, who went and started asking people, "Can you show me God? Can you show me God?" And unfortunately, he did not mean any person who was actually God realized. And now, because of that, uh, his uh, his question has become everybody's question all of a sudden. You know, right? So everybody in India, can you show me God? Can you show me God? Yes, I can show you God, but like Srila Prabhupada said, you rascal, do you have the eyes to see? Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. You have love for God. If you have love for God, you can see Him. If you don't have love, you cannot see Him. And you cannot see. Another wonderful example is given by Kalakanta Prabhu, who is based in Gainesville, Florida. So he gives the example that you say, you knock on God's door. Okay, you go and knock on His door. Knock, 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 knock. And you say, open the door. And the person inside, God says, who is this? He says, I'm here to come. I'm here to come and see you, and I want you to open the door right now. Who are you? Why should that person open that door for you? What is your right to see that person? No, I want to see you because you have to open the door right now and show me yourself right now because I want to see you. And if I see you, if you show yourself to me, maybe I will accept that you exist. That's what he says. As if I'm doing a favor to God by making him by him showing him to me, I am doing a favor to him, so that I will believe in him. So God doesn't need that. He doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. You knock on somebody's door and they don't want to open the door, and you say, why should I open the door? They ask you, and you say, you open the door because I want to see you right now. Just like that. So that's another example that is given by Srila Prabhupada's disciples.
And in this Kali Yuga, when we go open them, means when we knock at the door, they will never open, Prabhu.
Exactly. You open the door because I have come here to see you. Can't you see? I have come here to see you today. Right? Like, it's silly, They'll open the door if they want to see you, not when you want to see them.
Yeah. Why should I do? So all those arguments will happen.
Yeah, all these things. So anyways, that was the thing. And yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up because I was
Thank you so
remembering.
much, Prabhuji. I also heard one story. I don't remember like how the context was going, but there is a story that when a person a person or a great kavi, I don't remember. So he goes and he tells to the Lord that I am so, and knocks the door of the Lord, and the Lord is asking, who are you? And he says, I am so and so person. And again he goes, the Lord is not opening the door. And again he goes and he knocks the door, and the Lord is asking, who are you? And he's saying some other thing, means like I'm the king. So then again Lord is not opening. So this happens multiple times, and at last he says that I'm the servant of the Lord, or servant of the Vaishnava. So like
Servant
that.
of the servant.
Yeah. So when he says like that, then the Lord is opening the door. So
Yes.
that's how the Lord is like He is expecting us to show our love towards Him. So, and it should be like Anyabhlashita Shunyam, right? So we'll have to show it without any interruption, so without any expectation. But in this material world, even with the families, right, Prabhu? So there is some expectation, right? Even when we within the family also, I'm saying. So there is some expectation. You do this, I'll do this. So it's always happening. So how to get rid of that? Means like we cannot get rid of that exactly, but how to manage that?
So the question is, there is expectation that you scratch my back and I will scratch yours.
Yeah.
So this actually comes down to 4 kinds of relationships. There are 4 kinds of relationships in any kind of relationship. There are 4 kinds of relationship. The first kind of relationship is out of fear. So the relationship is as follows. If you don't do this, I will hit you. If you don't do this, I will punish you. So that is a relationship that is based on what is known as the mode of ignorance. That's the most lowest class of relationship, but it is there. It's required in the world. You know, we maintain armies, countries maintain armies because if they don't maintain armies, otherwise somebody will attack. So out of fear of the army, somebody won't attack. And so that's a relationship based on mode of ignorance. So next kind of relationship is what you mentioned. I will give you something, you give me something back. I will give you 10 coconuts, you make me pass in the exam. Right? So that is the kind of relationship that people make out of, that's a relationship in the mode of passion. So it is mode of passion means I'll give you something and you give me something in return. So that is kama jnana, that kind of relationship. And also different kinds of, there is also different verses in the Bhagavatam. Kama, sarva kama, va moksha kama udaradhi. Regardless, even if you have sarva kama, you approach Krishna. Just like Gajendra has approached Krishna, not out of service mood necessarily to start with, but out of pain. So even if there is a pain, you can approach Krishna. Right? So that's the first thing. The next thing is the next kind of relationship. Now we talked about relationship based on fear, relationship based on greed. The next one is relationship based out of duty. The parent does not have anything to gain from the child, really. Like what can the child give the parent? The parent has everything, the child has nothing, really. So the parent is doing a kind of thing based on duty. Sometimes it's there between husband and wife also based on duty. The teacher and student also based on duty. They cannot give anything to each other, really. Student does well, the teacher doesn't really gain anything. They might feel happy that the student has done well, but really they are doing their duty. And so that's a dutiful relationship. So that is in the mode of goodness. So somebody is worshipping Krishna in the mode of goodness. And just because he's God, that's like almost like Shantarasa. Right? They don't want necessarily anything from him. Just worshipping him because their position is to worship him. So, and the fourth kind of relationship is based on love. That kind of relationship is how I can please you, how I can do anything. Nothing for me, everything for you. Yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prananathastu saivanaparah. That is the highest stage of bhakti. Of course, easier said than done, because when the devotee is in trouble, naturally they turn to the Lord and they kind of they actually ask something from the Lord. It's difficult not to do so, but it's okay because akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi. So even if the relationship is in the mode of passion, we can use that in the service of Krishna. So so the parents does do that. Parents do that. You do your homework, then you will get a sweet. So similarly, the parents can do that. It's okay. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet. So it's all right. We try to figure out how to engage them in Krishna. Devamrita Swami Maharaj said that spiritual master's superpower is when they figure out what is the material attachment of the disciple or the student, and they use that material attachment to drag the student into Krishna consciousness. Somebody likes to speak, somebody likes to sing, somebody likes to be very prominent, somebody likes to do various things. Some people love to cook, some people, different have artistic tendencies. Some people love to manage people and order people around. Like different kinds of people have different tendencies. The spiritual master engages those people in appropriate services. So we are also meant to do like that. So yeah, any other questions, comments, or?
Yeah, okay, so there is a question in the chat box saying about the Gajendra prayers.
Yes. So yes, I think so. It starts at the second verse of the 8th chapter, Gajendra Moksharam, and ends at the 33rd verse of the this chapter. So this chapter only has 33 verses. So 2 to 33. So this is called the prayers of King Gajendra. It starts with Shri Gajendra Vacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etacchidatmakam Purushasya Bijaya Pareshaya Bhidhimahi. So this is actually like a Gayatri mantra. It's actually like a Gayatri mantra because it has the verse Om Namo Bhagavate, but it doesn't have the word Vasudeva. So Srila Prabhupada has actually translated that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? And in the translation, you see, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudeva, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Even though Gajendra is saying Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etat Chidatmakam. he's saying. He's not saying the word Vasudeva. Srila Prabhupada is translating it as Vasudeva because that's what Gajendra means. But because of his elephant consciousness, he's unable to remember the names of the Lord at this point.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So,
Thank you.
any more questions or realizations, dear devotees? Okay. So, no more questions or hand raised, Prabhu.
Hare
So,
Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Very,
please
very
accept my
grateful.
humble
Very
obeisances.
wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your kindness.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving us your valuable time and association. With your permission, we can end the call here, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dear devotees, let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatrupasya kripa
वाचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
Jai,
नमः
Srila Prabhupada
जय
ki Jai,
जय
Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhuji ki Jai.
Prabhuji, for wonderful.
Prabhuji,
Thank
Dandavat
you so
Pranam.
much.
गाओ
so much,
रंगा
Prabhuji.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram.
Nityananda.
Nityananda.
Hari Bol.
Nityananda.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
नित्यानंद हरि हरि बोल
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, everyone, for joining today's class. We'll close.